burned alive. The dark and true history of witches. The witch, the very word, conjures images of darkness, fear, and the unknown. Throughout history, the concept of the witch has both fascinated and terrified humanity. From ancient civilizations to modern times, the idea of individuals possessing supernatural powers has held a powerful sway over the human imagination. But the story of witches is not just about spells and sorcery. It is a complex and often tragic tale of power, persecution, and the dangers of ignorance. The figure of the witch has appeared in different forms across cultures and time periods, but common threads weave through these narratives. Witches have been feared for their supposed ability to curse and control, to heal and to harm. They have been both revered and reviled, worshipped and burned at the stake. The persecution of witches in particular stands as a chilling reminder of the dangers of mass hysteria and the human capacity for cruelty. The concept of magic and those who wield it predates recorded history. In the ancient world, where the line between the natural and supernatural was blurred, magic was often seen as an integral part of life. It was not inherently good or evil, but a force that could be used for both benevolent and malevolent purposes. In this context, individuals who possessed knowledge of magic, often women, held a unique position in society. In Mesopotamia, for example, women played a prominent role in religious rituals and were believed to possess the ability to communicate with the gods. These priestesses, known as Entu, performed exorcisms, interpreted dreams, and offered guidance to rulers and commoners alike. Similarly, in ancient Egypt, women were recognized for their magical abilities. The goddess Isis, for instance, was revered for her healing powers and her knowledge of magic. The ancient Greeks also had a complex relationship with magic. While they feared the potential for witchcraft to be used for harm, they also recognized its potential benefits. The Oracle of Delphi, a priestess who channeled the prophecies of the god Apollo, was consulted by individuals from all walks of life, including kings and generals. In Roman society, magic was woven into the fabric of everyday life. As Christianity spread throughout Europe in the Middle Ages, so too did a new perception of magic. The early church, eager to consolidate its power and establish its authority, drew a sharp distinction between its own miracles and the practices of those outside the faith. Pagan deities were demonized, and traditional folk magic, often practiced by women, became increasingly associated with the devil. This shift in perception had profound consequences for the way witches would be viewed and treated in the centuries to come. Despite the Church's efforts to suppress pagan beliefs, traditional healing practices and folk magic persisted, particularly in rural communities. These practices, often passed down through generations of women, provided a vital source of knowledge and support in a world with limited access to formal medical care. These women, known as wise women or cunning folk, used herbs, charms, and incantations to treat illnesses, ward off bad luck, and offer guidance to their communities. However, as fear of witchcraft grew, these healers became increasingly vulnerable to accusations of heresy and witchcraft. The stereotype of the witch began to take shape. A solitary, often elderly woman living on the fringes of society, feared for her knowledge and suspected of consorting with the devil. This image, fueled by superstition and misogyny, would become deeply ingrained in the European psyche and would have deadly consequences during the witch hunts that followed. The Malleus Maleficarum, a manual for persecution. The publication of the Malleus Maleficarum, or Hammer of Witches, in 1486 marked a turning point in the history of witchcraft. Written by two German Dominican monks, Heinrich Kramer and Jacob Sprenger, this treatise on witchcraft would become the definitive guidebook for witch hunters across Europe. The combined theological treatises, legal pronouncements, and folk beliefs to create a chillingly comprehensive guide to identifying, interrogating, and executing suspected witches. The treatise was particularly significant for its role in legitimizing and systematizing the persecution of witches. It argued that witchcraft was not only real, but also a form of heresy that posed a grave threat to Christendom. The book claimed that witches derived their powers from the devil himself, with whom they made pacts in exchange for their souls. It further alleged that witches engaged in a variety of nefarious activities, including causing illness and death, destroying crops, and summoning storms. They also played a key role in spreading the misogynistic stereotype of the witch. It claimed that women were more likely to become witches due to their inherent weakness, their susceptibility to temptation, and their insatiable lust. This dangerous combination of theological justifications, legal pronouncements, and deeply ingrained prejudices created a climate of fear and suspicion in which accusations of witchcraft could easily flourish. If you enjoy our videos, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It helps us a lot. European witch hunts. Germany, Switzerland, and France saw the worst of the witch trials with thousands of executions. The Protestant Reformation and Catholic Counter-Reformation intensified these hunts as religious groups sought to root out heresy. Common accusations included causing illness, harming crops, controlling the weather, and shape-shifting into animals. Many accused witches were widows, midwives, or social outcasts. Between 40,000 and 60,000 people were executed in Europe, 80% of whom were women. Some famous trials? The Trier witch trials in Germany from 1581 to 1593 were one of the largest trials in Europe. Over 300 people were executed, including nobles and clerics. The Pendle witch trials in England, 1612, saw 12 people accused. 10 were executed, and much of the case relied on the testimony of a 9-year-old girl. The North Berwick trials in Scotland, 1590, were notable for King James VI personally interrogating the accused witches. He believed they had conjured storms to sink his ship. The Salem witch trials. In colonial Massachusetts, a wave of mass hysteria and religious paranoia led to over 200 people being accused of witchcraft. 19 people were hanged, and one man, Giles Corey, was crushed to death under heavy stones after refusing to enter a plea. The trials were fueled by fear of the unknown, social tensions, and the rigid Puritan belief system. Years later, the Massachusetts government formally apologized for the injustice. The age of witch hunts ended, but the idea of witchcraft never truly disappeared. Over time, magic took on new meanings. Some feared, some celebrated. Witchcraft in modern era. Victorian era saw a resurgence of interest in the occult, alchemy, and spiritualism. Groups like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn explored ceremonial magic and mystical traditions. Figures such as Aleister Crowley, who called himself the Great Beast, gained notoriety for his blend of magic and philosophy. In the 1950s, British occultist Gerald Gardner founded Wicca, a modern pagan religion inspired by ancient witchcraft traditions. Wicca emphasizes nature worship, the balance of masculine and feminine energies, and ethical magic. Today, Wicca and modern witchcraft are part of a larger movement of spiritual empowerment and reclaiming historical narratives. The witch hunts may be over, but history warns us about the dangers of fear and mass hysteria. Many accused witches were innocent victims of prejudice, religious zealotry, and social tensions. Even today, accusations of witchcraft still lead to violence in parts of Africa, India, and the Middle East. In some regions, alleged witches are still beaten, exiled, or even killed. History teaches us that fear and misinformation can turn deadly, and it is crucial to question mass hysteria before it spirals out of control. Witches are no longer hunted, but their story is a reminder of human fear, power, and resilience. Perhaps the real magic lies in understanding our past and ensuring history never repeats itself. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more history facts. Thanks for watching.